Any health-related information on the following show provides general information only. Content presented on any show by any host or guest should not be substituted for a doctor's advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any new diet, exercise, or treatment program.
Welcome to Accelerated Health TV and radio show. I'm your host, SARA BANTA. I'm a health coach, natural supplement expert, and a busy mom of 3. Make sure you hit the subscribe button below so you are notified every week with my podcasts on Mondays and Tuesdays. And if you haven't already, join my free group coaching on Telegram with the link below. I teach you on a daily basis with tips and tools to enhance your health. You will be a part of a like-minded group to support you on your journey, in addition to truly taking control of your health. The protocols and supplements I discuss are all found at SARABANTAHEALTH.com. Today, we are going to be talking about the lymphatic system with Heather Hiniker from Ascent. Hi, Heather. How are you today?
Hi, Sarah. Great. Thanks for having me again.
This is one of those topics that no one thinks about, the lymphatic system, right? And I know that I get water retention and edema a lot. And when someone told me about your center, they said, you've got to go do the lymphatic drainage pants and system. And I said, and I put it off and I put it off. And I would use supplements and diet and all of the things trying to help, which they help. But there's tools that you have that take it to another level. So first, I wanted to just jump in on what the lymphatic system is. It is a complex network of vessels, organs, tissues that play a crucial role in maintaining the body's overall health and well-being. And it gets less attention than the cardiovascular or respiratory system, but it is essential for the immune system, for fluid balance, for waste removal. That's why when we go flying on those airplanes, we get blown up and our immune systems get knocked down and our lymphatic drainage gets knocked down because it's all getting attacked at once. And we need to understand the function in order to understand what the signs are if your lymph is suffering. I always look to right here if it's sore behind the ears, because there's some lymph nodes right there, and then I know if my immune system is fighting something. But what it does is the lymphatic system transports lymph, a clear fluid containing white blood cells throughout the body. The lymphatic vessels, similar to blood vessels, form an extensive network that runs parallel to the circulatory system. And these vessels collect fluid, metabolic waste, cellular debris from the body's tissues, filtering and purifying it before returning to the blood system. And another key part of the lymphatic system is to support your immune system. And that's why over the last couple of years, it's been really important. The lymph nodes are these small bean-shaped organs scattered throughout the body, critical for the immune system. They act as filters, trapping and destroying foreign substances like bacteria, viruses, cancer cells, and present in the lymph. And the lymphocytes are a type of white blood cell produced in the lymph nodes and play a vital role in fighting these diseases and infections. So the other thing that I touched on is that it's also important to help maintain the fluid balance in the body. And as the blood circulates through the capillaries, a portion of it seeps out into the surrounding tissues, delivering oxygen and nutrients to the cells. This fluid, called interstitial fluid, is then collected by the lymphatic vessels, preventing a buildup of excessive fluid, maintaining tissue health. And then any disruptions in the lymphatic system function can lead to edema, which I think I'm feeling at the moment. And that is swelling due to fluid accumulation. I always test my rings. Can I pull my rings off? Can I see my ankles? Because you don't really gain weight in your fingers and your ankles. And if you see a difference in those parts of your body, then you know you're holding on to that excess fluid, which Heather and I have talked about as inflammation and extracellular water as well. So those are some of the things to look out for. You can also look for more frequent infections because the lymph is defending the body against infections. If you're constantly getting sick, that might mean that your lymphatic system needs a little attention. Chronic fatigue. I just feel if I have edema, I feel like my whole body's like stopped. There's no circulation. There's no movement. I also feel it connected to my thyroid because your thyroid's your master endocrine gland. So if your thyroid's slow, if you're hypothyroidism, you're probably going to have a sluggish lymphatic drainage and also sluggish circulatory system. And then it's also connected to digestive issues. The lymphatic system assists in the absorption of fats and fat soluble vitamins in the digestive tract, and skin conditions. Skin health can be influenced by the lymph system. When the lymph flow is sluggish, it can contribute to skin issues such as dryness, acne, eczema, or cellulite. So Heather, am I missing anything? Any other signs that you are aware of that you notice in your clients or yourself when lymph is slow or sluggish?
You pretty much covered the gamut. Most people talk about the circulatory system as being, our largest circulatory system, but it's actually not. It is the lymphatic system. And you kind of touched on how hand in hand they work together. And so when you're optimizing both, that's how you're getting rid of that metabolic waste, the toxins, anything that's not supposed to be in the body. That's really what the lymphatic system is responsible for getting out. And, I don't want to go into it too fast, but there's certain ways to do so. But you need to understand how the lymphatic system works. So there's basically two valves in the lymphatic system that allow for waste to exit the body, and activating certain lymph nodes prior to those valves, and understanding when you're getting, say, a lymphatic massage or you're having a lymphatic drainage treatment, it's important to understand the flow of that. Because if you were to say, like with our Ballancer Pro, there's two garments. If you were to put them both on at the same time, there's going to be huge congestion because of the way the lymphatic system works. It's kind of like two rivers going opposite directions. And so if you were to have the rivers meet up at the same time, that's not going to provide a good flow. There's going to be a catastrophe in there. So we really pride ourselves in understanding how the lymphatic system works, in which order to activate which valves initially, like the thoracic valve and then the lymphatic duct, and where they are in the body. But yeah, you definitely touched on what it's doing as far as immune health, just regulating that extracellular water. And again, whatever's not supposed to be in the body, it's going to help get out through blood flow. And so, the people think of your circulatory system and they think, okay, the heart is the pump, right? It's pumping blood through all of the blood vessels, but it's not. It's only pumping blood through the large vessels, which are only about 26% of your blood vessels. Like the majority are capillaries. You touched on the fact that, that's where our cells are exchanging waste, toxins. That's where nutrients are being absorbed. That's where, hormones are being exchanged, and it works so closely with the lymphatic system because the lymphatic system doesn't have its own pump, not even for a quarter of its vessels. So the lymphatic vessels actually have their own action, and it's only activated through muscle contraction, right? So if you have someone that's super sedentary or immobile because they're sick, they don't have that contraction going on, and so the lymph isn't moving at all. And that's when we can tell people are having those issues, because they have, the edema in certain areas, the swelling in certain areas. So just to maximize or optimize, if you will, the lymphatic system, it takes such slight movement. It doesn't have to be, a lot of people get deep tissue massage. That's great for muscle, but that's not doing anything in regards to lymph. And as we touch on some technologies, I'll kind of explain more, what to look for when you're looking for true lymphatic drainage compared to what compression is.
So can you tell us, where are the lymph nodes? Where are the hot spots that we should be focused on?
Yes. So the lymph nodes actually start right above your knee. So when we're talking lower extremities, that's where it's starting. And then they're going to go all the way up through the leg. A lot of majority of them are in the groin area. You'll also have them all through your abdomen. You'll have them where your armpits are, the axillary. You'll also have them all the way up your neck, under your neck, and on your face. So they're pretty, I mean, and obviously there are some in the arms and everything as well. But it's funny because some of these devices out there, they're boots and they're only going over the feet and to the mid thigh. Well, that's covering about this much of your lymphatic system. And for the lymphatic system to really be manipulated, if you will, you have to affect the thoracic area, which is kind of by your abdomen on your left-hand side. That needs to be activated, and you're only going to be able to do so if you activate the lymph nodes around those areas first. As you touched on, the lymph nodes kind of act as sponges, and so they're constantly filled with water or fluid. When you activate those areas first, very slightly, it releases the fluid. So now when we're doing something like a lymphatic drainage treatment, it's going to be way more effective to get rid of all that the toxins and the waste and everything that we're trying to mitigate.
Okay, so away from these amazing technologies, I want to first start with, what can someone do if they have nothing to stimulate their lymph? I know that I love my vibration machine for that reason. I use it to work out on, but I also use it to just stand on and help with my lymph. And honestly, when I'm away or traveling and away from that vibration machine, I will try to find a rebounder or a trampoline, or I'll at least go for a run. So there's movement, exercise, and maybe some gentle up and down movement. I don't sprint. I don't, because I'm not a fast runner anyway, but I always just think of my body going up and down, or maybe a jump rope. But I know there's some other things that you can do to help with lymph if you don't have any of these tools.
I mean, Sarah, even just walking plays a huge role in it. Yes, a rebounder is awesome, but like you said, if you don't have access to a vibration technology or a rebounder, just walking, moving is so important. And then good hydration is the way you're facilitating the waste actually getting out of the body. If you're dehydrated, it's going to become stagnant. So that's something that everyone needs to be conscious of no matter what. And obviously what you're eating, what you're putting in your body. We talk about the healthy salts. I mean, Sarah's accelerated salts are what I use every single day, and they actually help me get rid of anything that's not supposed to be in the body and keep me hydrated at the same time. They're not dehydrating, but when you're going out to eat and you're eating things like iodized salt, that's doing the exact opposite, and it's causing that retention of the body. So simple little tricks like that, drinking water, having good quality salt, and just trying to stay as active as you can. But even just walking actually plays a huge role in the lymphatic system for sure.
So this brings up, now we're going to get into technologies. And I was on a trip and I thought, oh, well, I'm going to search out some compression therapy and see if I can get some lymphatic drainage or treatment while I was away from home and away from Heather's center. And I did this compression therapy. And honestly, it hurt. It hurt to the point, it hurt in a bad way. It didn't hurt like I felt like it was doing some good. I felt like it was hitting the wrong points. It wasn't very soothing, and I didn't really feel much benefit. So I want to talk about what is compression therapy, and then what to look out for what you don't want.
So I would say, there are some like residential use or consumer use compression therapy products. I don't want to name them by name because in my opinion, they're pretty much toys. I mean, what a compression therapy is usually doing is it's it's not regulated. So it's going to be a certain amount of pressure, and a lot of times it's super high pressure that even cuts off blood circulation. So we've had, NFL players come in, and when we first got our Ballancer Pro, I'm like, oh my gosh, we just got this lymphatic drainage. And they're like, is that compression? I go, well, kind of, but not really. And they're like, I want to stay away from that. I did this other one and it completely cut off blood pressure. I had a drop foot forever, and that's not good when you're an NFL player. And so what it's really important to understand is compression, depending on how much pressure there is. So pressure is measured in the body by millimeter mercury, okay? And for true lymphatic drainage, what pressure our bodies like most to actually get rid of that extra cellular fluid, waste, and toxins, it's only 40 millimeter mercury. Okay, so when we go higher than that, there is improvement, but it's working more, on people like the high pressure, I think, because they can feel it, and it's more for the muscle. So like the compression therapy will kind of help with the muscle, just like a deep tissue massage. But in regards to lymph, it's not really doing anything. I mean, there's certain regulators in our body, like our blood pressure, for instance. Blood pressure, what is it? It's 120/80, or my vice versa. Yeah, 120/80 is what they say, is ideal, or maybe, a little lower than 80. Well, ideal for the lymphatic system, because it doesn't have its own pump like the heart. When we're trying to manipulate it, it's at 40 millimeter mercury. Those are what all the studies have been done in. Well, it's really hard with these other consumer products because they don't have chambers in them. They have no way to measure exactly what that pressure is. So I went down the rabbit hole before we brought in this lymphatic drainage. It's a class 2 medical device, is the one we have. It's the Ballancer Pro. But what I loved about it is it's 2 different garments. So it is working on both areas, the upper and lower lymph, at different times. Each garment actually has 24 individualized chambers in it. And as far as compression, it's completely 360 degrees. So you're getting the compression around the whole area. Well, with a lot of lymphatic massage, you have a therapist that's just working on one area. You're not getting that whole circumference. And so the Ballancer Pro actually regulates, and the whole time it's evaluating what the pressure is in that specific area. You think about people that have, like, say, lymphedema. Sometimes they might have one leg that is a lot larger than the other because of the edema and the swelling. If they've had a surgery in a certain area, that area might have a lot more swelling. And so when you're in, say, the Ballancer Pro pants, those chambers are measuring. It doesn't matter if one leg is larger than the other. They're measuring the pressure, and there's no other device that does that as significantly as the Ballancer Pro does. We've seen people come in with certain diagnoses, and they're carrying 30, 40 pounds of excess water weight, a lot of times in their lower extremities. And so after doing something like the Ballancer Pro, obviously they're using the restroom a lot more, but within 24 hours, we've had people lose as much as 20 pounds water weight after doing the Ballancer Pro with CVAC combined. And they're just getting rid of that extra cellular fluid that's not supposed to be there.
So let's dive into the combination of the CVAC and the Ballancer Pro, because this is something where I love to come in and I love to work hard because I can be on my computer in the CVAC and then go to the Ballancer Pro and relax. But you always encourage me to do the other way around because you want to stimulate your lymph and then get into the pod. So talk about that and the benefits of the combination.
Yeah, you're getting benefits regardless of what order you do it in. I mean, I feel that you probably get a little bit more flush if you do end with the CVAC pod, but basically the Ballancer Pro full body lymphatic drainage is manually manipulating the lymph nodes and the lymph to get things flowing, and the body on its own, because it's the miracle and it knows what to do when things start to regulate, it is going to get rid of excess fluid. I mean, the Ballancer Pro alone, they have certain settings for people, say, a bride or someone that that has a special event where if they get 3 sessions, within a week's time, they can lose 2 dress sizes. Well, all that is extracellular water, right? And that fluid retention. Well, when we pair the CVAC with it, the CVAC's working more with the lymph on a cellular level. So it's activating, remember, I mean, we've done a podcast on CVAC, so you can revisit. I'm not going to go into it too much. But when you take an empty plastic water bottle with a lid in with you with the CVAC pod, the whole time you're seeing that bottle expand and contract. So during 20 minutes, you could notice about 200 to 400 different pressure changes within that time. That is happening to every single cell in your body. And since the cells are responsible for, getting rid of waste, so if waste and toxins enter the cell, they're also supposed to be removed from the cell. And the CVAC pod is allowing that to happen on that level. And then it's working synergistically with the lymphatic system to flush it out. So the combination of the two is, I don't think there's anything that compares to the two of those together in regards to lymphatic optimization. And then you also have to think the Ballancer Pro doesn't have anything for the head, or the brain, I should say. Well, the brain has its own lymphatic system. It's called the lymphatic system, and it's usually activated during sleep. The CVAC pod is one of the only technologies I know that actually activates that while you're inside the CVAC pod. So as far as cleaning out the brain, that's happening as well.
That's really interesting. I didn't know that. And I do know that the CVAC tends to help you sleep at night. So I wonder if there's that connection as well. I wanted to talk about why this is so important now more than ever. And you've heard me talk about the spike protein and what it's done as it's infiltrated itself into all of us, regardless of who you are, unless you have been living in Iceland or Antarctica under an igloo. We have all been exposed. And what I find for myself is anytime I go to a restaurant, anytime I go to a gathering, like on Saturday, I went and I was with some women, just a gathering. And I could tell from the way I felt and also from my Genius app, a Genius Insight app on my phone, it spark the spike protein, because then I get exposed to it. Then my body and my immune system say, hey, wait a second, I feel it. And what is that affecting? So the spike protein has affected the ACE2 enzyme in the liver. And when this is normal, there's great insulin regulation, fluid balance, vasodilation. It's anti-fibrotic. It's anti-apoptotic. It also is responsible for fertility and hormonal changes, and it's anti-inflammatory. So when it's not normal, what do you have? Vasoconstriction, you have fibrosis, you have increased in antidiuretic hormone. So you're going to retain more fluid. You have water and sodium retention, oxidative stress and inflammation, and then insulin dysregulation and hormonal balances. That's why a lot of you are complaining about PMS symptoms getting worse, fertility issues, hormonal issues, water retention, unexplained weight gain. And some of that unexplained weight gain, you can't tell what it is when you step on the bathroom scale. You need to go see Heather and step on the InBody scale to see where that is. Is it inflammation? Is it the extracellular water? Is it intracellular water? Is it muscle mass? Is it fat weight? What are you gaining? The spike protein is causing a disruption in the fat breakdown and the protein breakdown. So when you do eat, you might be storing those healthy fats as fat, or you might have an overshot dose of insulin to response where you're storing more of the fat than you would 3 years ago eating the same meal. So all of these things are making us swim upstream even further. That's where you really need to be intentional with your health, and your lymphatic drainage is just one piece of that puzzle. I am coming to Heather's right after we finish this to do the Ballancer Pro. I find that my body needs it once a week. If I go travel, you better believe I will be there the day after. And I do all of the things I can when I'm traveling, but there's something about just needing that extra oomph because we are under such threat with the toxins and the metabolic waste we need to get out of the body, the movement, our lymph doesn't move. It needs stimulation. It's like Heather mentioned, your circulatory system, your heart pumps, right? It pumps itself. The lymph needs a little help. So I know I could sit in the pants and do it 3 times a week happily, but how often should you use the Ballancer Pro? What do you like to see? And what benefits are you seeing in people outside of what we've already talked about?
So when someone first starts, typically their lymph is compromised, right? And so we like to do kind of like a boosting phase where they're getting 3 sessions in the for lymphatic drainage in the first 10 days. And then I find that most people, I mean, if they can come once a week, that's ideal. Some people's schedule doesn't allow for that. And so they come every other week. It just depends what your schedule allows. I mean, ideally you're doing it once a week like you are, Sarah, because it's just getting things going. And then you know, hopefully lead active lifestyle. We are walking just to further facilitate that. A lot of our clients have a device at home that increases their blood flow and their circulatory systems by up to 30%. I like to run the 2 of those at the same time because you're already laying on the table. And so we tend to do that just because you're optimizing both systems. But you know, once a week is in my opinion, that's what I get. And I'm here every single day. I could probably do it more. I wish I had time to do it, but I do make time for once a week for sure.
I try at least for once a week, and if I can, I'll do 2. I wanted to just touch on a couple supplements that help work with the Ballancer Pro and help with the lymphatic. And Heather mentioned the first one, and that's salt. You know, I'm actually writing a book and I'm not talking much about the supplements, but I'm talking about 4 absolutely needed minerals or vitamins that you need to supplement with. And the accelerated ancient salt is one of them, mandatory. And it's so easy because you don't have to take it like a pill. You can put it on your food or put it in your water, but a lack of sodium and potassium may actually lead to water retention. A lack of the proper salt intake can cause additional issues with that sodium potassium pump in the cells. And I always go back to the experience with Jackson, my son, who his heart was stopping in the middle of the night and he would pound on his chest to get it going again. And that was because he was low on electrolytes and low on that sodium and potassium. And his heart would start because he was 15, because his heart was a good heart. But if you get in that predicament and you're 50 or 60, your heart might not start up again. And that you need the proper amount of sodium, potassium, magnesium, and all electrolytes. And the accelerated ancient salt has over 62 minerals in it. And it also it's enhanced with scalar frequencies to reorganize your DNA, help you get over the effects of the spike protein, and helps with flushing the cells out of the toxicity and the bloat. So it also helps with energy. I know if I am having my coffee in the morning and I need an extra boost, I know just putting a little of the salt on my tongue is going to give me an extra boost for my workout. And people always think, no, I need to grab a banana or something, some food related. And it's actually your energy comes from the hydration. The other supplement that no other company has thought about, and thank you to me for having edema to solve my own problems, is the accelerated thyroid, where the thyroid's the master endocrine gland and we need it working, functioning properly. But what we've done with the accelerated thyroid, we formulate it with Conchinara, which is an Ayurvedic herb known for thousands of years to not only detox the thyroid, boost metabolism in thyroid, but it helps drain dampness. And that's in the Ayurvedic terms. So it helps with the edema, helps pull out the excess water retention. And that's why people are loving it, because it's not just a glandular. And then it also is enhanced with scalar frequencies to heal the thyroid, increase the metabolism, help heal all of the endocrine glands, and then eliminate that water retention and the spike protein side effects that we're seeing. A lot of people are seeing a boost in their thyroid, getting off of their medications with the help of their doctors, of course, and then combining that with the acceleratedhealth, which is increasing ATP, cellular energy, by 18 times, which is going to help the cells work better. When the cells work better, what happens? The immune system's stronger, the lymphatics working better, energy is better. That's true cellular energy. And it's also helping with apoptosis. Now, if you remember, I mentioned that the spike protein is affecting our cells' ability for apoptosis. Apoptosis is your body's way of targeting those diseased and damaged cells, even cancer cells, and saying, you're a weak cell, we need to get rid of you. Let's get rid of you. And it goes through this process of apoptosis, of killing off the diseased and dying cells. Apoptosis is also the most active when you're pregnant, because the fetus is growing and changing, and there's a lot of apoptosis going during that period, and then also during puberty in children. That's why the acceleratedhealth is so imperative for pregnant women and babies and teenagers especially. So you better believe that all of my teenagers have been taking their acceleratedhealth. But it also helps clean up the blood, so the liver can optimally produce estrogen binding protein, which helps clean up the excess toxins and estrogens out of the body. So that is also really important as we are using or addressing the lymphatic system for our immune system. We need to clean that liver. And this is why I say you got to love your liver, and you got to do your liver flushes at least 4 times a year. I used to say 3 to 4 times a year. Now I'm saying at least 4 times a year. Heather, you need to be doing your liver flushes at least 4 times a year. But when the liver is functioning and clean, then it can metabolize fat, it can metabolize the protein, it can detox the toxins, and that's going to affect your lymphatic system. When your liver's backed up, your lymph's backed up, your kidneys are backed up, and your gallbladder's backed up. The biocharger, which also is another hack that you can add in to stacking with the CVAC and the Ballancer Pro for lymphatic programs, they've got one that is probably my favorite one, which is the liver, gallbladder, kidney, lymph all together. Mm-hmm. And there's a reason that they put all 4 of them together, because that's your detox. It's so important for your immune system, so important for digestion, so important for fluid balance in the body. So those are a few of the things. The SARA Mend is something that this has been added to the protocol for anyone with long COVID or suffering from issues that haven't gone away since they've had it. And SARA Mend is a serrapeptase. It's a proteolytic enzyme that helps break down the spike protein. And the spike protein has both protein and lipid components, and the SARA Mend breaks down those proteins and fats and literally acts as like a vacuum for the spike protein debris left over. It's anti-inflammatory, it helps reduce pain, and it's also been shown to help with limiting the ability of biofilm to form in the body, minimizing bacteria, considering 80% of bacterial infections are caused by biofilm. Now, another side note testimony from one of my kids, as they only tell me the truth and don't sugarcoat anything, is that one of them was having severe PMS symptoms. And one of the key things to help with the pain was the ceramide. And that's because it's helping with the inflammation. And there's so much inflammation that is going on in the body lately because of the spike protein. So wanted to touch on those. One last one was the accelerated cellular detox powder, because as you're cleaning the lymph, as you're using the Ballancer Pro and you're flushing the cells out, right? We need to soak up those toxins and take them out of our colon gently and easily, bypassing the liver and the kidneys, because we already know the liver and the kidneys are working too hard anyway. So the accelerated cellular detox powder coats the stomach and intestinal lining, reduces inflammation, helps with bloat and regularity, and it even helps with issues like Crohn's disease and colitis, soaks up all those toxins throughout the day that can cause the unexplained weight gain and the excess water retention. So, and that's also going to help with body composition. So all of those things kind of work together. Heather, I wanted to touch on some of the patches that you see are additive to helping with the lymph.
I mean, I always go to X39 because it kind of just checks all the boxes for everything in regards to upping our GHK copper peptide. I feel like all functions of the body are at a higher level when using it. And then glutathione, I think, is such an important component because it's our master antioxidant. So it's just going to help facilitate that whole detox process and keep our immune systems and everything strong. I would say those two are probably my top two as far as lymphatic goes. You know, energy enhancer always helps with the flow as well. So pretty much today what I have on is X39, energy enhancer, and glutathione, and my X49. And just, I really feel like the combination of those just optimizes things.
I would for sure put in there the energy enhancer, because you feel it also drains dampness. So it actually helps with the chi and the life force in the body. And that's going to help with circulatory and lymph and increase that ATP production in the mitochondria. And when your ATP is healthy, you're healthy. It's when our mitochondria die that we die. So when you talk about what diet are you going to be on? Are you a vegan? Are you a paleo? Are you keto? What are you? You want to be doing the mitochondrial diet, whatever that means to you. And I'm not a high fat keto person. I'm focused on prioritizing wild animal protein. That's where you get the most nutrient dense food from, and then filling in with the vegetables that are supporting your DNA. Most people now, because of the last couple of years, because of the GMOs and the glyphosate on our food, we have a problem with sulfur. And those are the vegetables like cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli, that can back up the liver. And so we want to be focusing on the mitochondrial diet, which means getting rid of the foods that are going to slow things down. And those foods can actually back up not just the liver, but the lymph. Then you're bloated. If you think it's normal to be bloated after you have a green drink or after you have a big salad, that's not normal. You should be able to see your knees. You should be able to, if you can't see your belly button or your knees, then you probably have too much visceral fat or liver fat. And it's all about the liver. The liver fat is what's causing all of the chronic disease. There's all of this talk about some Ozempic and some of the diabetic injectable drugs. And I've been diving into how they work and what the side effects are. And so if you're contemplating it, make sure you look at some of the podcasts I've done on it. But what they're not addressing is that it's actually fatty liver disease and insulin resistance connected to the fatty liver that is causing obesity. So you've got to get healthy to lose weight. You don't lose weight to get healthy, because you can be obese and be metabolically healthy and live forever. But you can't when you have a dirty liver. And before the 1980s, there was no non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. It was all alcohol driven. Now it's because of the fructose in our diet, the processed foods, the They've taken the fiber out of our foods, which disrupts our gut. And then they've put in the fructose. And then they've put in these hidden sugars, where those hidden sugars are actually tricking our brain that we want to eat more, increasing cravings, so your appetite increases. Just by switching your diet away from the supplements to prioritizing wild animal protein and eating carbs, I'm fine with that, but whole food, you will probably drop your weight because your insulin resistance and your fatty liver are going to reverse. These technologies that Heather and I are talking about and the supplements we're talking about are only to enhance and quicken the process. But when you are eating a standard American diet, the processed foods, those are just going to back up your liver, cause the brain fog, kill your mitochondria, kill the ATP, and everything just starts to fall by the wayside. And then you don't have the energy to get off the couch to rebound or do anything for your lymph, even going for a walk. So all of these things are connected. I would also, back on the patches, have to say the X49 as well, because it's going to help reduce the body fat, increase your energy and recovery after exercise, improves cardiovascular function. So what happens when your cardiovascular function improves? The lymph is going to also improve. When your body fat gets reduced, then the toxins are let out, because the toxins are all stored in your fat cells. So if you're taking in more toxins, what's your body going to do? It wants to put those toxins into fat cells, store them away from your blood supply. And as it does that, it's going to just have this propensity to store more fat. Well, the X49, working with the Ballancer Pro, working with exercise, a cleaner diet, is going to support increased muscle mass, which muscle has more ATP, and decreasing the fat stores and the toxin stores. So all of these things are working together. You can also, if you think you have a gut issue, the leaky gut bundle is something I do recommend. Helps support the tight junctions in the mucosal lining in the gut. It has the megaspore spore biotic. I don't even want to call it a probiotic, where it goes in there and it's dormant until it gets to where it needs to go. It's got a brain, and the brain says, okay, I need more of that, a little bit less of that. And it is smart in how it's going to fill your gut with the right spores and the right gut feeding prebiotics as well, to support that healthy gut, so that you can have better nutrient absorption and getting back to a healthier, stronger immune system. And I can't believe I forgot, when we talk about the immune system, the accelerated silver. So the accelerated silver is a no-brainer. It helps boost the immune system and devitalize any foreign pathogens, but it helps encourage the lymphatic system to do what it needs to do to keep in a healthy spot. One other supplement I would address is the Nuke No More, because our immune systems are being targeted by radiation, not just toxins and spike protein. And when you have too much radiation in your body, not only is it going to cause brain fog and anxiety and depression, because it's making these frequencies in your head that your own frequencies are trying to catch up to, and it can't. I mean, just watching my hands like this is giving me a headache. So the Nuke No More detoxes or zeroes you out of all non-ionizing and ionizing radiation in the body, lessening the DNA damage done to the body by the spike protein. This is something that I recommend people go through a daily dose through 2 bottles, and then they can back off to 4 days a week. But with the smart meters, the cell phones, the Zooms, everything that we are, the 5G towers, everything we're being exposed to, we need to be going at it and protecting ourselves in multiple ways. The X49 patch helps us by putting a Faraday cage around us. The Nuke No More combined with the Acceleratedhealth helps detox us internally. And then you can always use the little patches to put on your phones and your computers to protect you. So those are just a few of the things that you can use to help improve your lymphatic drainage. But I feel like it's that unsung hero of a organ or system in the body that no one really pays attention to, and it affects everything. Heather, have I missed anything, or is there anything you want to add before we go?
No, you covered everything beautifully, Sarah.
Well, I really appreciate you always coming on with your amazing technologies, and I use them as much as I can because it's not just one piece to the puzzle, guys. It's everything. It's the exercise, it's the sleep, it's the detox, it's the nutrition, it's the proper supplements. And I always prioritize in my articles and my podcasts the importance of the supplements in order of priority, because I'm very aware that you can get overwhelmed, and just start small. Start with one step. Heather and I have been doing this for a lot of years, and we did not start out doing everything all at once. So thank you, Heather, for joining us, and thank you everyone else for joining us today. If I can help you with your health issues, you can contact me directly through the website, SARABANTAHEALTH.com. Happy to put together a protocol for you. What did you learn today? Have you tried lymphatic drainage? Have you tried the compression pants? I would love your feedback on what your experience was. And have you tried any of the supplements or changes in your diet that have helped your lymphatic drainage? And join the free group coaching on Telegram with the link below. There is no downside. I teach you on a daily basis with tips and tools to enhance your health, and you will be a part of a like-minded group to support you on your journey, in addition to truly taking control of your health. The protocols and supplements are at SARABANTAHEALTH.com. You can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram under Accelerated Health Products, and across over 100 channels under Accelerated Health TV and radio show, including YouTube, Stitcher, Vimeo, Pandora, iTunes, or whatever podcast platform you subscribe to. Share this with a few of your friends. So many people need my help and Heather's help, and it also helps my channel grow so I can bring more great content and guests to the show. We are here every week, Mondays at 2 p.m. Pacific time, Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Pacific. You can find all the supplements on my website and use coupon WELCOME10 for 10% off site-wide. Thanks again for joining us here at Accelerated Health TV and Radio Show, and have a great week.
Bye, guys.